Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Sri Radha Madhava ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja, Ashodara Sri Srimad is divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja, Ashodara Sri Srimad is divine grace. Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakti ki jai, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Krishna Vastaya Varale Shmari Bhati Varanta Swami Gauravani Parchaline Nivashi Shushandavari Vaskachadi Shata. So this morning, we have the very good fortune of reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 15, Instruction for Civilized Human Beings. It's probably not a bestseller these days. If you had a book titled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, probably wouldn't. I'm just saying, if you're concerned about your market, it would be Instructions for Uncivilized. The uncivilized, right? Oh, that would be a bestseller, but Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, I don't know, right? It's Kali Yuga. It's Kali Yuga. What sells in Kali Yuga? Yeah. Okay, polished. Instructions for Polished Animals. That's my book. This is text 35. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kamadibir Anavidham Prashantakila Briti Yat Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam naivotishteta karhichit kamaribiranavidham prashantakila brittiyat chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam naivotishteta karhichit kamaribiranavidham prasantakila brittiyat chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam naivotishteta karhichit kamaribiranavidham prasantakila brittiyat chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam naivotishteta karhichit. Anyone like to chant?
Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Naivotishteta karhichit. Naivotishteta karhichit. Kamadiviranabidham. Kamadiviranabidham. Prasanta kila vrittiyat. Prasanta kila vrittiyat. Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Naivotishteta karhichit. Naivotishteta karhichit. Kamadiviranabidham. Kamadiviranabidham. Prasanta kila vrittiyat. Prasanta kila vrittiyat. Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Naivotishteta karhichit. Kamadiviranabidham. Prasanta kila vrittiyat. Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Naivotishteta karhichit.
Kamadibiranavidham prasantakila brittiyat
Chittam brahma-sukha sprishtam. Naivotishteta karhichit.
Anyone online? Okay. Word for word. Kama adibihi. By various lusty desires. Anavidham. Unaffected. Prashanta. Calm and peaceful. Akila britti. In every respect or in all activities. Yet that which, chittam, consciousness, brahma-sukha sprishtam, being situated on the transcendental platform in eternal bliss. Na, not, eva, indeed, uttishteta, can come out, karichit, at any time. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. When one's consciousness is uncontaminated by material lusty desires, it becomes calm and peaceful in all activities, for one is situated in eternal blissful life. Once situated on that platform, one does not return to materialistic activities. Purport. Brahma-sukha sprishtam is also described in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 54th verse. Brahma-bhuta prasanatma nasochiti nakankshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In this situation, he begins transcendental activities or devotional service to the Lord. Generally, once elevated to the transcendental platform of brahma-sukha, transcendental bliss, one never comes down. But if one does not engage in devotional service, there is a chance of his returning to the material platform. Aruya krachena param padam tata patanti yado nadrita yushmad angrayaha. One may rise to the platform of brahma-sukha, transcendental bliss, but even from that platform one may fall down to the material platform if he does not engage himself in devotional service. Om Agyantimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshulin Minitam Dina Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabadandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhascha, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. Any questions? You all slept through class. Every single one of you were sound asleep. Any questions? Hare Krishna. By your blessings, some of you might have just believed that. That's the point. That's why I said it. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, any blessings or prayers on my behalf I'd appreciate, so I can say a few words. When one's consciousness is uncontaminated by material lusty desires, it becomes calm and peaceful in all activities, for one is situated in eternal blissful life. Once situated on that platform, one does not return to materialistic activities. So, and Prabhupada begins the purport. It's you can say a parallel verse, a verse which is saying the same thing as from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 54th verse. This brahma-bhuta prasanatma. Isn't this in response to Arjun's asking Krishna? There's two places in the Bhagavad Gita where Arjun says, Krishna, you tell me, what are the symptoms of a transcendentalist? Well, there's in the second chapter it comes up. This is also in the 18th chapter where he asks, and this is one of the responses, part of that response. One is on the transcendental platform. You can look that up, because I know the second chapter has some, and I thought this was the section. But, it's discussed. The whole 12th chapter about devotees and so on is all about who's dear to Krishna and so on. But yeah, so, but making this point is, because if there really is not much difference between a spiritual person and a material person, what's all the big hoo-ha about? Just like Burijan, I was listening to a lecture the other day, and he asked Prabhupada this question, because Prabhupada said in the talk that everyone is serving Krishna. Everyone's serving Krishna. So he asked Prabhupada, well, if everyone's serving Krishna, then, and Prabhupada said, favorable or unfavorable? And he said, well, it's kind of, why don't I just keep serving him as I am and unfavorably? Because everyone's serving Krishna, what's the difference? It's a lot easier than going through all this getting up early and chanting all these rounds and regulative principles and all this stuff. If we're all serving Krishna anyways, seems a lot easier just to stay where I am. And Prabhupada said, those who serve Krishna favorably are happy, and those who serve Krishna unfavorably are miserable. That's the difference. so okay, that's what the answer. So there is a difference between the devotee and the non-devotee, or the transcendentalist and the person on the mundane platform. And that difference should inspire us, excite us. Just like, what's the difference between a poor man and a rich man? Does anyone here aspire to be poor? No. Yeah, I mean, we can take it to the, just like devotees, don't own anything, and that. But I mean, in general, when you go, oh, here's a choice: poverty or affluence, or plenty of resources and so on. Who's attracted to poverty? So I'll sign up for that. No, everyone wants to have some facility, right? It's a better or a superior position. How about educated or foolish? Would you like to be known as educated person or a fool?
Educated.
Yes, what? Educated? Yeah. So I mean, there's variegatedness, and it means something. There are actually, I would say, it's perceivable and even absolute good, better, best. Never let it rest. Your good is better and your better is best. But that's just there. So how about consciousness? Is there a state of consciousness which is better than another state of consciousness? Because today it's very common for people to say, you have your happiness, I have my happiness. And they're the same, just leave me alone. That's what people say, why are you out there trying to give me these books and things like that? I've got my own. I'm sure you meet so many people at the table with that philosophy. I've got my own program like that. And it's as good as yours. Everyone has a right to, think up their own plan for happiness, and what's the problem? Yours isn't any better than mine. Well, actually it is. Just like it actually is better to be educated than foolish. It's actually better to have some facility than to be poverty-stricken. What are the two greatest miseries in life? One is poverty and one is hunger or thirst. Yeah, I think Chanak Pandit says that. That's another thing. Is it better to be starving or to have some food? To have something to eat. So it does make a difference what we do. And the broader our understanding of these differences, the better. Where is real happiness to be found? In this brahma-sukha sprishtam, or Lord Rishabdev in his instructions to his sons, brahma-sukam tonantam. The famous verse, how does it start? Is that naiham, deham? The human form of life isn't meant for the same thing as the stool eaters. Oh, isn't it the first time you ever hear of stool eaters when you become a devotee? It's like, I never heard of stool eaters before, right? What's a stool eater? It's a pig, right? Hog. Like these hogs and so on. Was it did I bring that up in class the other day about that farmer? Someone was talking to a farmer, a devotee, and they're saying actually pigs are quite clean because they don't poop or go to the bathroom in their pen. They go outside, whereas other animals just poop wherever they are. So therefore, he's arguing that pigs are actually quite clean. And the devotee said, but they do eat stool. They're not that clean. They eat stool. It's like horses don't eat stool and things just like, Anyways, stool eaters. So Lord Rishabdev is getting pretty heavy with his instructions. That's pretty heavy. Yeah, this human body is not meant for the same kind of pleasure as the stool eaters. I mean, talk about getting down at the very bottom there. It's meant for austerities. Why? To purify the self, and brahma-sukam tonantam, to experience that unlimited spiritual happiness that should just go away. That's what human life is meant for. So that's being described here, that this brahma-sukha, happiness of Brahman, when one's consciousness is uncontaminated.
Just to answer your question about the Brahma-sukha verse. Yeah, there are 3 verses before that describing the prerequisites of coming to the Brahma-sukha.
There you go. There you go. So it's there. So the verse is saying these are preliminaries, because the last verse is Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. On this platform, one starts the devotional service, or pure devotional service. It becomes very, very deep and serious. So this Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. So one on the spiritual platform is Prasanatma, or this Prasanta in this verse, calm and peaceful. One's satisfied.
Which was left out of the translation in the first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. And why is one calm and peaceful? Because all of these kama adibihi are gone from the heart. Because as long as in the heart, we can't be peaceful. Because we're always being pushed. If we have this kama adibi, all these material desires in our heart, we can never be peaceful because we're always being pushed. Got to do this, got to do that, got to do this, got to do this. That's Rajagun, right? Mode of passion. Got to do this, got to do that, got to do this, got to do that. But it's impossible. And the illusion is, well, if I just try to satisfy these, then I'll finally be peaceful. If I get this done and get that, you don't get anything done. You never finish. Probably gives the example, that person he knew is on the deathbed. And he was asking the doctor, can you give me 4 more years so I can finish all my plans? No, not one moment more. And even if you had 4 more years, you would be thinking, if I had another 4 years, it just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It's called pushing. You ever have someone push you? Either angrily or jovially, like in kirtan, somebody push you or something, you get pushed like that. So, let alone angrily. You ever been in a wrestling match? Yeah, right? They push you around. You get a...
When I was 7 years old, I wrestled with my.
Okay. Did you win? Okay. I wrestled Shivananda. You know the old Shivananda? Prabhupada's disciple? We had a wrestling match on the back patio. That was when it was grass. Devotees would have wrestling matches out there. He won. He has to win. He's my older god brother. How could I? So anyways, you get pushed around. So,
Was it jovial or was it?
no, it was jovial. We all sat down and prasadam afterwards. It was just devotees were getting some exercise for this little while. They were having wrestling before breakfast or something for a few minutes, a few of us. Prabhupada said wrestling and swimming, 2 Vaishnava sports. Also walking, Prabhupada says. He recommends walking. So, but because of the mode of passion, we don't accept this. We think all these desires, they'll make me happy if I can just figure out how to satisfy all of them, but they're never satisfied. Krishna says, dushpalena analena cha. It burns like fire and it's never satisfied. It's just like, can you give a fire enough fuel? And it'll just go out by itself. I've had enough wood. I've just had enough. It's like that. No more wood, no more ghee. Hari bol. I'm done. Agni will burn, give as much as you want. It'll just keep burning, right? It just doesn't stop. It's not that by adding fuel, it becomes satisfied. It doesn't happen. So this plan, material life means the plan is to keep adding and trying to satisfy desires to enjoy in the material world. And therefore, who's calm and peaceful? People aren't. It's one of the greatest gifts you can learn, anyone can learn, is to become prasatma, calm and peaceful, and just be satisfied. And of course, that's the big criticism of India, and you could say Eastern spirituality, that people are... In fact, my father told me that when I was starting to be a devotee. He said, India is just people just lying in the dishes. They have no work ethic or enthusiasm to do anything. They're all poor. That's their spiritual teaching, just to be whatever happens, happens kind of a thing. That's not true at all, but I mean, that's what people think. Like that. And we have to be careful also, because what this is referring to is not that we empty our consciousness. That's what's that, Buddhism? and different quasi-spiritual paths. You just sit there in meditation and you empty your mind. Shunyavadi, you empty your mind. That's impossible. It's completely impossible. You're wasting your time. You'll never be able to empty your mind like that. As soon as you turn your back, it all comes rushing back. As soon as you get up from your 20-minute meditation, right? You got to get to work. You got to do this, got to do that. So, unless one's heart has to become purified. But this prasanatma, it says nasochati, nakangshati, hankering and lamenting. That's what the mind does all day long. You know how many thoughts the average person has every day? You ever get this number? 5,000. Do I hear anything higher? 50,000. Anything higher? 100,000. Anything lower? 60,000. 60,000 on average thoughts a day. Of course, many times it's repeated. And 45,000 of them are negative. There you go. No, 45% like that are negative. Yeah, 45,000. No, percent. 45,000 are negative. So it's mostly negative stuff like that. And it's sometimes it's the same thought, but it keeps rolling through like that. So that's the mind. That's the mind. How do you satisfy that? It's impossible. So unless one's purified in heart, and then one just becomes very peaceful. And Prabhupada said the best way to control the mind is to neglect it. Right? Just neglect it. Just say, I'm not listening to you. Like that. Just like, no. What's that famous saying? Someone said, talk to the hand. Right? Talk to the hand. Remember that? Someone talk to the hand like, I'm not talking to you. Like that. Why? Because whatever you tell me, I get in trouble. Right? So like a friend, hey, puts his arm around you, hey, come with me, let's go. Every time I go with you, I get in trouble. My parents get upset with me, Balaram gets upset with me, everyone gets upset with me. You know, no, I'm not going to go. No, come on, let's have a good time. You always get in trouble. You always get me in trouble. Like that. So that's the uncontrolled mind. So it says here, this nasochati nakangshati, that the mind is either hankering or lamenting. That's the mind. We are meant to with the intelligence, analyze the mind. The intelligence is higher than the mind, so analyze the mind. All day long, it's going back and forth, hankering, lamenting. Hankering for something we don't have, lamenting about something that's we've lost, you could say. That's just what the mind does all day long. Unless it's engaged in devotional service, then actually the mind's happy. So you can talk to your mind. There are prayers like that. My dear mind, if you want to be happy, Bhaja Hure Mana Shri Nanda Nandana, that whole song. If you want to be happy, think of Krishna. Hanker for Krishna's association, lament that you don't have Krishna's, if it's Krishna-centric, you'll actually be happy, my dear mind. You're never happy. You're never happy. You always want this, you want that, you're lamenting, you're hankering. You're just never happy. Yes?
I have to edit your talk a little bit. Because this thing about neglecting the mind, this is actually another verse by Vrishabdev, 5th chapter, 5th canto, 11th chapter, verse 17. Maybe it's not, but it's in the 5th canto. So, in this word by words, Prabhupada says by neglecting, and talking about the formidable enemy, the mind. And in the purport, Prabhupada, there's one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: neglect. So it's obvious. However, in the translation, this uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful. Now I said, wait a minute, this doesn't compute, right? So what Prabhupada is talking about, there's one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: disobedience. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders.
There you go, disobeying.
If you neglect it, it'll just run rampant.
Yes, and very specifically, that's what you're saying. Disobey the mind. So, Another thing is that this being calm and peaceful is not the goal of our spiritual life. It's not the goal. It's a symptom of a person who is free from this pushing of hankering and lamenting and so on, but it's not the goal. And another thing is samak sarveshu bhuteshu. One is equal to all living entities, because generally in the material world, other living entities are divided into two categories. What are those two categories? No, we look at other people, we immediately put them in one or two categories. Friends or enemies. Someone who can benefit me, someone I got to stay away from. But because we're calculating, can this person help me in my sense gratification, or is this person going to take my sense gratification away? So for a devotee, a transcendentalist, they don't have that. They're not calculating sense gratification, so they don't see people in that category at all. They just don't see it. Like Prahlad Maharaj, when he went to school, that's what he complained. Is like, my teachers are trying to, they're politicians, and they're trying, this is an enemy, this is a friend, and diplomacy. And he said, I can't relate to that at all, because everyone's Krishna's servant. I just couldn't relate to that. It's just like, what are they trying to teach me here? It's just couldn't, So that's the point. That's why samak sarveshu bhuteshu, that's why a devotee is equiposed to all living entities, because he doesn't see anyone as in the category of the filter of sense gratification. There's no filter. Just accept everyone for who they are. Who is everyone? Jivera supoi Krishnera nityadasa. Everyone's the eternal servant of Krishna. One sees everyone like that. So in such a state of consciousness where there's no hankering, no lamentation, you're not calculating that other people are friends and enemy, mad bhaktim labate param. Then one can actually attain this param, supreme devotional service, mad bhaktim, become a great devotee of the Lord. So that's what's being brought out in this particular verse. And it's getting kind of late, but Srila Prabhupada, throughout all of his books, is stressing devotional service because, as I just said, being calm and peaceful is not the goal. Even one rises to the brahma-bhuta platform, which is unimaginable for us at this state, but one actually realizes they're a spiritual being or on the spiritual platform, and even enjoying some kind of spiritual happiness. One can still fall down because that's not the constitutional position. That's what's being brought here. Unless one is happily engaged in devotional service day in and day out, one will eventually fall away. That's, I guess you could say it's a take-home for us. We're not just talking about people because that's people who've actually merged into Brahman, beyond this material world. They can fall all the way back down into the material world because they have there's no secure position outside of a devotional service. Prabhupada gives the example of the astronauts, the cosmonaut, where's my Moscow, going around, or you take off on a plane, sooner or later you got to land. You can't stay up there forever because there's no engagement. So in the same way, even a very, very exalted platform of spirituality, unless there's engagement in devotional service, sooner or later, it may be millions and millions of years. Would you like to just sit there for millions of years just feeling happy?
What happens? No birth, no death.
Wow.
How long?
Because it's not our constitutional position. We were missing something. And you're missing, I'm missing something. The example many times given is just like it's all noisy and loud and this and that. And you just, I got to step out of this room. So you go outside. It's nice and quiet for a while, but you're missing everything. So you're going to go back in or go somewhere where there's, being alone. There's some people like being alone. They just don't like being with other people and this and that, so they want to be alone. But that's, you should get a dog. It's not, that real happiness is being with wonderful people and having a positive, loving relationships with wonderful people. It's not being alone. Alone is you've removed yourself from the negative association. So in the same way, unless there's positive association with devotees in Krishna, one will never be able to keep them, guarantee that they'll stay out of the material world. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You can't guarantee it, only by being nicely engaged in devotional service. So that applies to us in our day-to-day life. The more we're absorbed in devotional activities, devotional service, we will actually not fall back into the material world, even from very elevated platforms of Krishna consciousness. And we have the pastime of Bharat Maharaj, very instructive, because he was on the platform of bhava. That's Krishna, that whole pastime is there, or a story, to let one know even one's very, very elevated in Krishna consciousness, one has to be careful. One can fall, lose all of that, fall back down, have to climb back up. Like that, one has to be nicely engaged in devotional service and the association of other devotees. So, because it says here, once situated on that platform, one does not return to materialistic activities, but Prabhupada's qualifying that. It's not just being calm and peaceful and feeling jolly. It's being engaged in devotional service. Then one does not return to materialistic activities. Why is that? Param dishtva nivartate. One's got something better. One's got something better. Just like Balaram and I saw something amazing, interesting, not amazing, interesting in the trash can this morning, remember? Did anyone here throw a Reese's bar wrapper into the deity trash can this morning? A good example, though. Someone may like Reese's, but if you get something better, some rasgulla, sandesh, burfi. It was just the wrapper. So why does one give up eating this and eat that? You get something much tastier. You just, I don't know about this. This is really good. And Prabhupada said the prasadam at the temple, our temple should be so good that no one thinks of eating anywhere else. They just think, no, I couldn't eat that. And it's not difficult. It's like, wow, it's so good. So everything about Krishna consciousness, that's the example, I'll end with this, Prabhupada, about the simply wonderful, the sweet. He said, yes, simply wonderful, the devotees are simply wonderful, Krishna is simply wonderful, the whole everything's simply wonderful. So to the extent we realize that, it's not a mental adjustment, we actually realize it, then it's all just wonderful. And everything else is just pale and just no attraction. Like that. So we can end here. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. And it's a real question that I never really could reconcile with. This verse, 1854, which is quoted in the purport, famous verse, Brahma-bhuta prasanabam shroti nikanchati samaktarijam mad bhaktim labhateva. After coming to the Brahma-bhuta platform with these qualities, always joyful, no lamentation, no hankering, seeing everyone equally, one attains bhakti to me. 14th chapter, text 26. Mam chayova bicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samititaitan brahma bhuya kalpate. One who practices bhakti to me, unfailing in all circumstances, transcends the modes of nature, and attains the Brahma-bhuta platform. So which comes first, the Brahma-bhuta platform or the bhakti?
Balaram, what do you think? This is beyond my pay scale. You've brought this up before, Dravid, in classes.
I do. Now I realize what my answer was.
Oh, okay. So this is Stump the Speaker Day here. Okay.
Well, today, no, honestly...
I mean, I'd have to look at the purports and, I can't just off the top of my head. So would you like to elaborate? Because you're right.
What I concluded is that the word bhakti is being used in two different ways. In 26... it's being used in sadhana bhakti, mamshayo vibhicharena, that's itself, practice. Then one comes to the Brahma-bhuta platform. Now, in the Brahma-bhuta platform, you continue to advance and discover more about your eternal rasa. In other words, on that Raganuga platform, right? So that's what's happening here, is that if one comes to the Brahma-bhuta platform, then and he has attained this state, then you can graduate, or your natural development is practicing bhakti, sadhana bhakti. Mm-hmm. And then Sadhana Bhakti there, he's talking about Mamchyo Vichadena. But that Brahma Bhuya is, I think, reinstatement in your eternal Sarup. There's a distinction there. Although I'd like to look at the purports again and maybe the commentaries. Because that when I first saw that, it puzzled me. You know, here's when Brahma Bhuta comes first, and I get Bhakti, and then there's Bhakti, and it results in Brahma Bhuta. So it's a little puzzling. But
Mapa, did you have any comments on that? Is that your understanding? Okay. Balaram, sounds good, doesn't it?
Was the wrapper in the Mahabin or the can by the sink?
Can by the sink. Is that where you left it?
No, I didn't think that. That's not how I got that.
I know. With Balaram, I just concluded someone was, this is like Srivas Thakur, someone put the articles for worshipping Durga on his doorstep, so someone's trying to frame one of the pujaris. Probably trying to frame me, get me kicked out. I think it's you trying to get me kicked out so you can take over the Govardhan Puja. That's what's happening. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.